What's the number one lab test or metric that can change someone's life if they actually paid attention to it?
A really solid functional genetics test. And the reason why has to do with time horizon. All the other tests, except for genetics, like gut tests, thyroid, mitochondria, anemia, blood tests, hormone tests, those are all, the value of that test decays exponentially after about 6 months. Whereas a genetics test, the results you have for life to work on your genetic realities, which you were born with. So genetics has dividends for life and is the highest value test of any test, with not even a close second, because the results are good for life. Now, the research on the genes will continue to evolve and grow, but the results of your genes don't change. The genetics test is not functional testing. I actually would separate them out. Genetics tests will tell you what your ideal is and where your vulnerabilities and weaknesses are, that you better shore them up or they're going to show up. What they don't tell you, what genetics doesn't tell you, is they don't tell you what's happening now. It's not the thumbprint of like what's happening now. It doesn't tell you what your amino acid ratios are. It doesn't tell you what your thyroid levels are now. It doesn't tell you what your blood sugar is, your ketones. It doesn't tell you any of that. It just tells you the filters through the probabilities of what's going to happen and how you want to live your life, so that the best things can happen and the worst things will be the least likely to happen. So they both go together, but they're not the same. And if people were to start, I would say a really good genetics test that will tell you your optimal diet, your optimal exercise, and your the optimal set of nutrients you're going to need, because your genetics show you that you have a greater need for certain specific nutrients just because of the way your genetics are. So that's what I would say would be the most important test for everyone to do for life. And I'm saying that on the time horizon. If someone has an acute issue going on, then don't run a genetics test. You run whatever is related. Like if you're jetting out the wrong end, and you came back from a trip and you got terribly sick, don't run a genetics test. Run a stool test. So we have to be smart about this. So for life, that's what I interpret it as the long term.
But what does someone just Google genetic tests, or is there a specific one you recommend?
So the one that I recommend